Hello everyone, how's it going? Elliot here again. In today's video, we are going to be checking out something that I am super excited for. So really quickly before we get any further into this video, I just want to say a big thank you to Chris for sending this to me. Basically, what this is, for those of you wondering, this is a DMG Game Boy hardware clone. Just like the GB Boy colors and the GB Boy, this is literally a hardware clone. Obviously, it's in a completely different looking shell, and it's, yeah, not even remotely close. It's about the same size as a DMG, and the screen resolution is absolutely identical. But in today's video, we're going to have a go at fixing it because it currently doesn't work. Let me just quickly show you what I'm talking about. Chris said it does work, and also we need to fix this battery door because it's genuinely gonna break something because it's so stiff. But yeah, he said it does work on the AC power, so I don't actually have any sort of an AC plug that we could use to test that, but I believe him. So let's go ahead and pop the battery covers back on, and we'll turn it on, and yeah, as you can see, absolutely nothing happens. We've got a contrast wheel on the top, we've got a volume wheel on the bottom, we've got headphones, DC, a weird looking external connector, so obviously some sort of a link port, but a proprietary one for this, which seems a little bit odd. We've got our on and off switch, and start and select A and B are huge, sort of like the NES sort of inverted dome, concaved buttons, and then we've also got a weird D-pad, but everything feels pretty good. So if we do get this working, I'll be super happy. We'll just give the batteries a little wiggle. Try again. No, nothing. One thing I should also point out is the screen, polarizer screen, is burnt. So maybe we'll be able to replace that, but I'm not 100% sure. So before we go any further and start trying to fix things which we don't know are broken or not, let's go ahead and take it apart and give the contacts an absolute thorough clean. There's 6 screws, Phillips, around the outside, so we'll go ahead and undo those. It's probably not going to be a let's refurb style video, it's more going to be a trying to fix because I haven't got a clue what's wrong with this thing. Just having a look at these contacts, I'll show you in a second. They are heavily oxidized, like they're literally black with oxidation, so that's never a good sign. Okay, there's all the screws. Let's just lift the back off and see what we have underneath. Wow, okay, well, that's about the first time I've ever lifted the back of one of these off. I don't know how that happened. That's about the first time I've ever lifted the back of one of these things off, and the contacts haven't been like soldered into the shell. So it's actually just completely been removed, which is very nice. We turn that over and get all our screws out. So far, so good, and it's looking pretty okay inside. Everything has obviously been bespokely made for this thing. Even as far as like the cartridge connector, you know, I haven't seen a cartridge connector ever like that before, so that's very interesting. What I think we're going to do is take this thing apart a little bit further. There's a screw here, and there's another screw here, so let's take that one out as well. I'm really keen to get this thing in the sink and get some isopropyl on it because it is seriously rusty. Okay, so if we just gently lift this thing up, I'm pretty certain. Oh, wow. Okay, well, that has come out very nicely. So far, I'm bloody impressed. Look at that. A whole nice little unit there. The speaker looks to be exactly the same, so I'm sure the sound coming out of this thing is going to be very similar. I mean, the board is seriously dusty, but the biggest problem, obviously, is that right there. That is some serious rust. There's no videos of this thing on YouTube that I can find, so this is going to be quite cool for everyone to see all of this. So there's the D-pad membrane. It's incredibly dusty. You might be able to see it a little bit better on the orange one for the start and select, so that's going to be very nice to clean up. And here is that big D-pad, so we can take that out as well. And yeah, again, that's going to go in the sink and look lovely. So the last thing for us to do is just remove the 3 screws holding the screen down. And one of the things Chris actually said was that there was a horizontal line on the screen, which is a big shame. Unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do about that. You can fix it. You have to be quite good at that sort of thing to fix it, and I've never fixed one on a Game Boy, so I don't think I'm going to start on here and try and do it on this. Just taking a quick look then, and here's the screen. You can see that burn in the middle. There's a metal shield that is actually holding all of these screen sort of module together, and that metal shield is held on with these little metal sort of brackets which are like bent. So I guess what we could try is unbending them and seeing if we can lift that bracket off, although I'm a little bit nervous to be doing this because obviously this thing is rather rare, so I don't want to break anything. Here we go, metal bracket is coming off. Alright, so pretty standard, I guess. I really wasn't expecting to find out anything cool in here. And I can see that polarizer film right there, so that is definitely removable, but I don't think I'm going to have a polarizer film big enough to actually put on there. So obviously what we're going to do is just remove the old one. So I'm just going to get the little blade under the corner there. Super nerve-wracking. Oh my god, this is honestly making me sweat. I'm not very confident. Okay, well, we got it off. A lot of the residue is still on here, which is a little bit nerve-wracking, but I'd rather scrub it with isopropyl alcohol than apply any more pressure to that screen. Okay, so I removed the polarizer film. I scrubbed the heck out of it with some isopropyl and some Q-tips. I do have some replacement polarizers, however they're for the iPhone and they're not quite right. You can see that's the orientation it needs to be in, but obviously it cuts off either side. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to bodge this, I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to order some bigger ones and cut them to size, because as long as I order them not pre-cut this small, then obviously I can just turn it, take the one that it came on with and stick it on the side and cut it. But what I've done in the meantime is taken 2 of the pieces and just sort of cut them so we do actually have the right sort of size polarizer. Obviously I'm not going to stick it down, and we are going to have a visible diagonal line through the middle of it, but I'm not too worried. As long as we can see if the screen works, and that's the main thing. So what I'm going to do now is take the metal shield and just line everything back up again. Hopefully it'll all be okay, and we'll pop that down. And then what I'm just sort of doing now is just twisting those little sort of locks back into place just to hold the screen down again, and hopefully that will have enough pressure to hold that replacement polarizer film in. Obviously it definitely looks a lot better than it did before. So the next thing I'm going to do is just show you whether or not it works. So I've taken some tin foil and I've put it in the battery terminals, and what I'm going to do is just screw the screen back down. Okay, next thing to do is stick this down. Okay, and then we shall turn it on. Okay, and we do actually have an image on the screen. So that is rather exciting. It does look like we have 1 horizontal line, 2 horizontal lines. Damn, that's not very good. So what I'm going to go and do is chuck all of this in the sink and give it a clean. You can see down there's a lot of nasty sort of dirt and dust and grime, and also on this side as well, down in that corner, really gross. So yeah, I'm gonna chuck it in the sink and give it a nice clean. This is probably one of the most rewarding parts of this whole process. So I'll come back and show you what it looks like after that. I'm debating whether or not I want to put this in the Retro Bright solution and brighten it up again, because it is actually a little bit on the yellow side in some areas, but I'm a little bit nervous to do that because it does actually make the plastic a little bit more brittle. Whilst that's doing its thing in the sink, I thought we could turn our attention to the actual PCB and give it a little clean with some isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip. You can actually see on there, hopefully be able to see that, like the stains of all the dust, which is really gross. And also it means that if you press any of the buttons, it's not going to have a very good contact. So let's just give that all a nice clean. As I've mentioned in many videos, it's a completely universal process, and you can do this on any sort of button contact like this. I can actually see some sort of corrosion on the little contacts as well. So all in all, that is going to really prevent a good contact from the button. You can also take an old toothbrush where the bristles are a little bit softer, and just give the whole thing a brush down as well, just to remove all of the dust in between all the crevices. Another one of the really satisfying ones is the speaker. I'm not sure whether or not the speaker works, so we're going to have to give that a test, but it's always nice to give that a clean, because obviously there's holes above the speaker to let the speaker actually function properly. We'll give it a little clean, and I'm pretty certain the board is just about all clean now. The other last most important step to do is to drop some isopropyl alcohol liquid down into the potentiometers for the volume and the contrast. You get a much smoother response from everything, and especially the power switch. You get a much more reliable power switch. Just drop some big droplets down there, and then just flick the switch a few times, and that will sort of just rub the inside and clean it all up nicely. Alright, so it's actually the next day. I have spent quite a lot of time on this. One of the difficulties with repairing something that you haven't ever repaired before, and there's something that doesn't have any sort of reference information online, is you're not sure that the thing that you're doing is going to work. So that means that there's been lots of footage that I've been filming where I'll be talking about me doing something as if I know what I'm talking about, and then I'll get to the end and then something won't work. So one of those things, for example, is the speaker. I can't get the sound on this thing to work through the speaker or through the headphones. So as I did show before, there are a bunch of capacitors on this thing, and capacitors typically deal with all sorts of things: power, image, and sound. So it might be worth me replacing those. So basically, I'm not sure if a part 2 is going to be something that you guys would be interested in, but if it is, let me know in the comments. There's a few things I need to order. So I need to order a new polarizer film, I need to order replacement capacitors, I need to also order a replacement contrast dial. This one's snapped, it wasn't held down by anything other than glue, and that had obviously dried over time, and as I was cleaning it, it just snapped. I have got it sort of secured on, and there is a contact being made, but because the legs actually snapped, the contrast dial is sort of protrude, like it's really deep down in there, so you're very only slightly touching the actual wheel, making a difference to the potentiometer reading. But other than that, I think it should be okay. I think once I replace the capacitors, it will sort out a lot of the problems. I might even get a new glass lens cut, because this one's made out of plastic, so it's really easily scratched, and it does make this thing look a lot worse. The other thing I did as well was retro-brighted the shell, so now it's coming out looking pretty much as it would have done when it was brand new. There's a little bit of yellowing on the side, but for the most part, this thing is looking good. If you want to see all of those things in another video, then let me know. I'm sure it's not going to get as much interest. But yeah, let me show you it working. So there's still 2 horizontal lines across the top, which sucks. Oh, I just need to fiddle with the contrast wheel. There we go. So there's still 2 horizontal lines across the top, which sucks. But if I choose a little bit of Tetris, I'll sort of just zoom this camera in as well. That should help. You can see, I mean, that it is just a DMG hardware clone. It's playing this multi-cart, which I own, because I don't actually know where my Tetris game is. And Tetris is a great one to show. It does run incredibly fast, like much faster than it should do. But yeah, I mean, blimey, this thing works really well. One of the things that I love about this thing the most is that it's in such a used condition. It wasn't like someone was bought it, decided that it's crap, and then never played it. This thing has been used, like really used and enjoyed. So it did come with a game. Ooh, so terrible. So it did come with this little game here, which is super 4-in-1. It's got Tetris, Dr. Mario, Battle City, and Alleyway. One of the interesting things about this game is that in order to choose a different game, so it's choosing, so it's chosen Tetris right now. In order to choose a different game, you turn the console off and on again. I haven't got a clue how that works. So there's that Battle City one, and then if I turn it off and on again, yeah, there you go. Look, Dr. Mario. I mean, that is a really interesting method of selecting a game. As you saw on this multi-cart here, it's sort of like a list, so quite cool. So one of the things I wanted to show you was a game that you're all going to be familiar with, which will show you the speed of this thing and the problem that it has with the speed. So if I just go ahead and click on Super Mario Land 1, a game that I'm sure you will all be familiar with, try and get a good enough angle for you to see this. Unfortunately, we haven't got any sound, so that's going to have to be something that I'll sort out again. But yeah, immediately you can just see how quickly everything is going. Hopefully be able to see up in that corner as well, the timer, just how quickly it's going. So obviously it does have a problem with speed. It's not playing at the original speed that it should be playing at. That's not unusual though, because I believe the GameBoy does actually have that problem as well. I guess that's probably a result of not using the official chips, which obviously this thing won't be using. But for the most part, you know, it works. It's not ridiculously fast, but it's not accurate. But what do you expect from the mega game? I really hope you guys have all enjoyed this video. Thanks again for sending this out to me, Chris. I'm definitely going to repair it. Whether or not it's going to be on a video is going to be down to you, so let me know if you want to see that or not. And I hope you guys have a lovely day. Catch you in the next video. Peace. Check out my my hats and t-shirts. Link is always in the description. And if you would like to support the channel, consider donating to me on Patreon. It bloody helps out a bunch. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.